What's up everyone, welcome back to another weekly outlook. So I'm a little bit sick still, but we're going to try our best to make the best out of it. We're going to go over the main forex pairs as we do always, going to look at it from a technical and fundamental perspective, and then both bring them together to see if we can catch the best A+ setups for the week. So beginning with the dollar here, as we can already see on the daily time frame, we are daily bearish. And we made the retracement into the premium prices, this blue box over here. So from here we can now start to see a sell-off into the new swing low. Now overall we also have the yearly level over here, and we are inside a supply zone. So this looks like a good point of interest to start to look for shorts. If we go to the 4-hour time frame, we can maybe refine it a bit to see from what exact point we could start a move. So obviously we have tapped the premium prices to perfection. We can already see a reaction from that, and also overall the reaction from this supply. So we could already move down lower once we break this low over here, which we almost have done, or we did. So now we basically could already go lower from this overall supply zone and trade towards the swing low. Now this is a possibility because, as you can see here on the left, the liquidity is located here, 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 and then here also a bit as well. But the most important ones are these. So this one we already took, then we saw the first reaction, moved up above it, then saw the actual reaction. So now we could already react from this liquidity over here and already push us down lower. Or we're going to see one more push up higher towards the yearly level and maybe take out this liquidity, maybe tap this refined supply, and from here see lower prices. So overall, I think that if we continue this overall, we could obviously just continue to go lower. But if we do not do that, we could possibly at the beginning of the week see one more push up higher to actually tap the yearly level, because as we know, the yearly level and the 3-monthly level is a strong magnet where price most of the time actually gets into. Then it also perfectly aligns with this supply zone, maybe that liquidity, and then from there we could see actual good short setups. Overall, I think this week we could see shorts, but we just gotta wait for the right confirmation from this overall point of interest. Okay, looking at the yen basket, what did we see last week and what did we also predict? We obviously predicted that we would see a weaker yen, as we also are seeing. So we could at least, like we said, be trading lower towards this low. Sorry guys, which we almost have been taken out, but not entirely. So for this week, I also just see lower prices here on the yen, and I just expect for the order flow to hold and to just see lower prices. So why is that? Overall, fundamentally, the yen is still weak, as it always has been. The only thing that could push it up higher, make it a stronger yen, is the intervention. Now here we saw that push for the rumors of the intervention as if it were close, but it's not yet the case because the US wasn't really ready. So for that reason, the yen could still weaken carefully until the intervention is there. And of course we gotta be careful because it could happen from now on every single day. But obviously I think that with the US not being ready, it could take at least a month or so until we see the actual intervention. So for now, I'm just carefully with the order flow going to continue shorting the yen. Talking about the fundamentals for the dollar, the reason why we saw this push up is because of the new Fed chair. Can't really get to the name at the moment, but overall he's a bit hawkish. What does that mean? That he wants to higher the rates possibly, which is going to drive up the currency, right? It's going to make up the dollar and make it a bit stronger. So for that reason, we are obviously seeing a stronger push. Now overall, the dollar still remains quite weak with all of the uncertainty and with just the dollar being overall weak with Trump's presidency. So with that, we could just see further downside here on the dollar. But again, we got to be careful because fundamentally maybe we'll see higher prices even with those rate expectations for this year. However, I think that the overall fundamentals are going to drive down the dollar down lower, and because we have a neutral stance, because we have upside and downside on the fundamental side as of now, we don't really know where exactly price could go based off the fundamentals, like on the yen. Then here on the dollar, I'm more so looking at the technicals and looking at the confirmation we get out of the technicals. Also, obviously, keep on being updated throughout the week with the news articles and data points that come out. This week we don't have a lot of data points, so not really that interesting. We do have unemployment rates, which is one to look out for, and think that is basically the only thing. Then we have USD yen. So let's begin on USD yen, right? So USD yen, like I said previous week, I think USD yen looks good for further upside. So technically, but also fundamentally as well. Why fundamentally? Well, because the yen is still overall weak, and as we just said, the dollar is quite neutral at the moment. So for that reason, the dollar yen could just see higher prices for this week as well. Now we are here at the yearly level, which could act as one resistance point, where we could then from here, after taking out some liquidity, could look for further longs or something. Now the reason why I'm not able to take longs here is because obviously we were bullish and now we are bearish. So technically on the 4 hour we could not look for longs. On the higher time frame we could, but that is why I think USD yen is not an A+ setup. Let me actually go over the A+ setups for this week, which I think are definitely very, very interesting. So here EURUSD, in my opinion, looks very, very good. If I zoom out, this here is my structure. We then have the retracement towards the discount prices. Then from here, we have this overall demand zone over here, which is inside the discount prices. And as you can see, we perfectly tapped that. There's one more thing to why I'm not yet in this long, because the order flow from this demand changed bullish. So normally, let me delete the discount prices here. Normally, we should now, with this order flow, go long and trade up higher. Why am I not yet in that trade? Is because we have the yearly level over here with some more liquidity. So over here, inside that demand and a little above it, there was no liquidity. We had some here, but that's still far away. Now, here we have open liquidity, so that is the liquidity inside that demand, and it aligns with the yearly level. So I'm going to be careful, but if we see more confirmation here where we break more upside, then I'll look into more buys here. If we do not, and we just see this, not an upside push, and we go lower, tap the yearly, then I will be happy, because if we then from here actually break the order flow, then we have an A+ setup to go long. So we'll have to wait for more development, but I think this week EURUSD longs could definitely be nice, because I see this not as a strong high, because yeah, we just basically go up and immediately see a reaction. I definitely think we could trade one more time above it with a possible weaker dollar in the near future. But again, we gotta stay out on the watch to see how the markets react, a weaker or a stronger dollar. EURUSD is not really something I'm looking at, but EURGBP definitely looks interesting. So at the moment, fundamentally for me, the euro is clearly stronger than the pound. And what does that mean? Upside on EURGBP. So overall, right now we have been trading up higher, and we have all this trend line liquidity open, so we could trade towards this high. So going to the daily time frame, at the moment though, we took liquidity right at these lows here. So basically underneath these lows, this is still basically your structure, so you're still bullish with this, your swing low, that's your swing high. There's just one more thing we gotta wait on, and that is the order flow. As you can see, this supply over here is in control, so I'm waiting, and as you can see, I have the alert ready to break this high, because then the order flow turns bullish, and then we can, after the pullback, trade beautiful longs into the highs here, into all of the liquidity here on the left, and also trade out all of this trend line liquidity. So that's what I'm waiting for on EURGBP. It's fairly simple. Here you can see the structure I've drawn down, and basically again wait for the order flow to turn bullish, then the retracement where we take some liquidity, and then from there we can take beautiful long setups after the order flow switch here, which is going to be very beautiful to take out all of this trend line liquidity. So again, have your alerts ready and then wait for the confirmation. Then we have GBPUSD, which is kind of the same as EURUSD, to look for those longs in line with the trend. Now overall, I prefer EURUSD because the euro is stronger than the pound. So because of that reason, I'm looking more for EURUSD. But technically, GBPUSD also looks very, very good as well. Now this here, if I zoom out, is going to be my structure, which we have broken, and we are busy with the overall pullback. Now for me, we are still inside the pullback phase. However, inside this overall daily demand, we have switched the 4-hour order flow bullish. So from here, we could possibly see upside. Again, what is something that is not good is the liquidity here on the left is still open. We haven't really taken any liquidity right over here. So this liquidity is something I'm looking for, and the level is also right over here. Plus the discount prices are also over here as well. So if we get here, we get closer to the discount prices, which is then better to go long. And one more thing to add, this here is also a supply, I think, on the daily time frame, which could also push us down lower towards these points, and then from here look for longs. So basically what I'm waiting for is, first of all, this point of interest to get tapped. I have the alert ready, something like this, then an order flow switch bullish, and this is where I'll take the long setup on GBPUSD towards the news highs over here. So GBPUSD looks almost the same as EURUSD, but yeah, that's something that I'm looking for. Then we have GBP, also one of the very interesting ones. So overall, I've been mentioning it from previous week right over here that longs do look very good, but we had to wait for the order flow switch. So we took out all of the liquidity at its lows. With the weaker yen, it looks good to look for those longs, but the order flow was still this supply in control at that time. Now throughout the week, we switched the order flow bullish by breaking that high over here. Then you get the retracement, and then from here we can obviously look for further longs. Now there is something quite tricky about this, because overall, what have we seen? Let me see if I can take this. I can. So we took some liquidity right at these lows over here, right? So let's remove all of this here so that it's clear. Overall, we have the order flow switch here at the high, not to break our structure, but it doesn't matter because we're still bullish. But overall, we have the order flow switch. So now this is your daily demand zone. From here, you can look for longs. We see the pullback inside discount prices. We tap the monthly level, we tap demand, and we take out some liquidity. From here we have an order flow switch. Let me also put that on the chart as well, which is going to be this demand. So from here we could have said, all right, let's take the long setup like this, where we then go long, which perfectly aligns with the weekly liquidity here on the left. Let me quickly show that. Right over here, okay? This is some weekly liquidity where we could trade too. So you can see we take liquidity at the lows, and then we could go up higher. Let's see, on the weekly, we do miss this refined demand. Maybe something interesting to take a look at. Also on the weekly time frame as well, we could also see a weekly wick towards these opened levels before seeing higher prices. Something to just keep in mind. Now, overall this is a potential setup. Why didn't I take this setup? That is because, like I said, on the weekly, I think it was going to be this then. This weekly demand still open for grabs, and also these open levels on the weekly time frame. Here you tap this one on the weekly time frame, but you still have the yearly level. Sorry guys. But we still have the yearly level with the 3 monthly, with these liquidity lows now over there as well. So this also would make sense. And the yen pairs give multiple swipes most of the time. For that reason, I'm going to be more careful, and I'm going to wait for something like this, possibly, where I take this setup. But as you can see, I can't really hit a 3R here. Maybe if I refine the entry a bit, something like this, I can hit a 3R towards the highs. So maybe I do this, but then I also see we have liquidity over here. So I might consider it, I might not. Overall, I think the best thing to do, wait for this point of interest, then the order flow switch, and then take beautiful longs towards the highs. So this is my game plan. Again, this could easily play out and just go up higher from this overall order flow, but then I just rather take other yen pairs because of the reasons that I just have explained. So here GP Swiss also explained previous week that we could trade lower after grabbing liquidity here after the order flow switch, but we didn't really had that. Now this is going to be your order flow, but this is your 4-hour swing, and this here is all internal, so that is not going to be my swing. What I need to see is one more push to grab off the premium prices, maybe grab some liquidity here, also grab the yearly level, and then from here I would like to see perfect A+ setups. So again, we could also just continue the order flow and just continue to take shorts, but the A+ setup is actually this liquidity, yearly level, and then we could continue to take beautiful shorts. Looking at GBPAUD, it is something for in a couple of months, but it would be willing to basically see a retracement, take out liquidity here, tap maybe the supply, premium prices, from there order flow switch. That is an A++ setup, but again, it has to have a lot more development. Then we can take a look at AUDUSD, not my favorite, something that could possibly happen this week though. So overall, we have some more liquidity where we could trade to over here, and 4-hour is bullish. On the 4-hour, we also took liquidity at these lows. Then we could switch the order flow over here, which could then give a pullback, and then we could take beautiful long setups towards those liquidity points. However, myself, I'm not going to take this because we don't have the discount prices, and that just makes it objectively, looking at purely the facts and the checklist and the strategy, not good to trade up higher. Now, I know based off experience that it is definitely good to go up higher, but I can trade this because of the strategy. So again, I do see upside, but we're not able to take those possible setups. How would I like to take possible setups? Well, seeing push lower into the discount prices, then an order flow switch bullish, and then we can take those longs towards those liquidity points. As of now, it's not valid, and I'll need to wait maybe in the future to take shorts from these liquidity points. Then we have 80 yen. So 80 yen has been seeing higher prices. Let's put this here on the 4-hour time frame. So basically, okay. Oh, we are on the 4-hour. All right. So overall, we can see that we have been breaking the trend into the highs at all times. So this is not really necessary. This also is nothing really. It was something that I was looking at previously. But overall, what we can see is that we break structure here. Now we have demand over here, which is basically the order flow. And from here, we could now look for further upside. What are the concerns about this setup? To take it like that, something like this. First concern is that your TP is quite high. So maybe you will never get towards that point before the intervention, but again, something that still looks very good. What is again against it? We have liquidity right at this lows at the monthly level. Something like this could also be possible to then see further upside. So keep that in mind. The rest looks very good to look for further upside. Yeah, looking at the order flow looks good. Looking at the weekly time frame, we basically have this demand. So overall, also something to keep in mind. So I just marked that one out. It's going to be this overall big demand zone. So what I'm going to be doing is basically looking at this. I feel like this is a good setup, but we're not able to take it because looking at our checklist, is our stop loss at the safest point possible? Not really. Why not? Because we have liquidity and a monthly level at our stop loss. So this could easily happen. The safest point here would be this, which is the weekly demand low. So that would be the best. So what I'm waiting for is just this, then order flow switch and then longs, because that is A+++. This one is trying to catch the move, which is high likely with the order flow, but you still have a chance of hitting that stop loss. So won't look for that. Looking at NZDUSD, I'm looking for one more push lower before taking long setups. Why is that? If we start from the weekly time frame, we can see that we are bearish, but overall we have been rejecting this level for quite some time now. So from here you see reaction, now we also are seeing reaction, so we could trade towards this liquidity. If you zoom out even more, you can see that again, that is a strong level. So here we get that the reaction as well, take liquidity, reaction as well, take liquidity, here reaction as well. We could even trade towards these highs. Overall, I'm just going to target these highs over here for now. So this also is nothing really important at the moment. So again, just targeting that high for now. On the daily time frame, what is going to be our order flow? It's going to be this demand over here. So I would prefer to trade all the way down lower towards that demand before seeing higher prices, but obviously price could already go up higher without needing to tap that demand. What would we need? The discount prices at least, otherwise it's not good. So overall we were quite close towards the discount prices, but I haven't tapped it. We switched the order flow over here, so now this demand is in control, but we're not able to take longs yet because this daily supply is still in control. And this daily supply, together with the monthly level and maybe this seen as liquidity, could be pushing us lower towards the actual discount prices. So again, I'm going to be waiting instead of entering like this stop loss here to trade towards high. I'm going to wait for one more push lower towards the discount prices, then from here switch the order flow, and then I think these are far better trades than the one we take almost at the top. So for that reason, I'll wait for more confirmation in order to take beautiful long setups. Then we have NZD Swiss, which I'm looking to short once we get the confirmation. So the weekly is bearish. We have tapped this supply as well, so it looks good for further downside. Daily has the same swing structure, and if you can look over here, we almost get towards the premium prices. Not yet, but we do get close. We are inside this supply over here, and we took out liquidity above these highs. So overall, we could definitely see further downside from here if the order flow changes bearish like that. Then we could see lower prices. Now looking at the 4-hour time frame, we are definitely still 4-hour bullish. So after this retracement where we take liquidity, and now after the order flow change here, we could definitely look for some long setups. However, we are inside that weekly supply, so it might be tricky to look for those longs because of that supply. So for me at the moment there are two ways where we could go to. We could switch the order flow for the weekly perspective and go lower, or we could go with the 4-hour trend and go up higher towards the premium prices if we need to tap that. So obviously not the best as of now, and I'm going to wait for either the premium prices to get tapped and then the order flow switch, or the order flow switch right now, and then I'll look at possible shorts here on NZD Swiss. Looking at CAD yen. CAD yen is also a yen pair I'm looking to long this week. However, it needs some more development. It's not fully ready yet because the 4-hour here is bearish. The order flow is beautifully long, but we'll need to switch the structure, then see the retracement to the discount prices, the liquidity and these open levels, and then from here get the confirmation, and I'll take beautiful long setups once again here on CAD yen. But we'll need to hit this alert here at this high first before taking those beautiful long setups. Then we have Swiss yen. Swiss yen is also something I'm looking at. I'm still riding this one. It was a long trade, but normal because we trade swing. I would like to hit TP obviously, but at the moment I just am waiting on a retracement because we broke structure. Now we want to see a retracement towards discount pricing, and then from there also take out this liquidity right over here and at these lows as well. Maybe tap the monthly level. Once we see this, then the order flow switch, then I'll take beautiful long setups towards the highs. So that is it for all the forex pairs. Looking at the fundamental part, which I haven't really talked about yet. So we know the dollar is kind of neutral because there are both possible ways. Then we have the yen. The yen is obviously still quite weak, so I'm still looking for longs on all the yen pairs. But keep in mind, if you see something form about the intervention, make sure that the rumors only could already drive up the yen. So keep that in mind. Looking at the Swiss franc, for me the Swiss franc is still quite strong because everything around the world is still kind of unsure, and there's a lot of uncertainty and wars. So for that we could see the the Swiss franc still strengthen because of its risk of ability basically. We then have the Canadian dollar, which in my opinion is quite weak because of an oversupply in oil. So this week we could see a bit weaker Canadian dollar. Looking at NZD and AUD, AUD is quite strong because they are seen to be hiking more this year, and obviously that is going to strengthen a currency. Then we have New Zealand dollar, which in my opinion is going to obviously also see a bit of strength because it is correlated to the AUD. But overall I think NZD on itself is going to pause their rates, and for that we could see a neutral to slightly bullish NZD, but not really bullish like that. Then we know the euro also is quite strong as well based off all the other currencies, and the pound is quite weak. So based off this you could already have kind of a fundamental bias. But looking at the metals, I'm looking to go long on them because they have been giving us some confirmation. Looking at platinum, I got swiped out of these two positions over here because of that big move. Unfortunate, but overall doesn't really matter. You can see that here we break the low, then we see one push where we switch the order flow over here. Again, we don't take it because the daily order flow is still bearish. Then we go lower once again like this. This is now your daily supply. Oh, if we break that daily supply, then what do we create? A daily demand, and then we can go long. And this is what I'm looking for: break, retracement towards these open levels. From here, see those higher prices. So looking for the order flow switch, and then I think platinum again is ready to go long. We basically have been taking that December low, and everyone who was buying at the beginning of the year got swiped, me as well, but that's quite normal. Now overall waiting for the order flow switch, and now we could see the actual push I think for this year. Copper still in this setup, took out all of the liquidity here, yearly open went under that, so everyone at the beginning of the year also got swiped. And now we're just looking for an order flow switch, which is this high. So copper isn't really looking good for any setups technically. Fundamentally, obviously it could go up higher. Technically, it isn't looking the best. We'd need to see this low getting swiped, then the order flow switch, and then we can take beautiful long setups, or this high a retracement and then go long. So it will take some time. Overall, copper is not the best technically at the moment. Maybe next week, maybe the week after that, or maybe even in 1 month. We'll see. Silver has seen one of the biggest drops as well, took one loss over here, but this is all normal, right? You can see the wins that we took. One winner gave back a loss on silver and 2 losses on platinum. So then we have all these other winners, which are basically for free. So overall, that's part of the game. We're longing these metals, we take profits, and at some point you get a retracement and take losses. That's completely normal. So if you took losses, that's also just normal overall. Now, overall, we saw a big push into the downside. We've taken a lot of liquidity here at the lows. Also went under that yearly level, swiping everyone who was buying silver at the beginning of the year. Now again, this is your daily supply. So if we want to break that daily supply, which would be very nice, then we have the daily order flow bullish, and then from here we can see beautiful long setups. So again, waiting for that switch, waiting for the retracement for our order flow switch, and then we can take beautiful long setups. Then we have the last one, gold, which in my opinion already is ready to go long. So basically, we saw a big push at the beginning of the year. We then saw a big retracement, taking out liquidity right over here, connecting with this demand. Haven't tapped the yearly level, but we already have seen that the 4-hour order flow has been turning bullish over here. Then we saw the retracement where we took out the liquidity, and now the 4-hour order flow again internally trades bullish. So from here, I think we could see higher prices, and maybe tap at this monthly level, something like that could be nice. So yeah, let's see what happens. Overall, this demand basically has been pushing price up higher. So that is it for all of the pairs. I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of weekly outlook. Next week I'll do another one. I'm looking to do some other videos as well, but I'll keep you guys updated. See you. Bye.